For myself, my background is that I grew up in a very poor community. Education is what took me out of where I was. And I am so convinced that education is what is going to be changing the lives of those who are living from derelict. I want to give back. I want to be a part of that, where I am giving back to the communities where I came from, communities in South Africa, to make sure that we are going to have a society of educated kids who will make a difference and create jobs.
So, hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Changing Reality. As you can see, we're still in the Skoll World Forum here at Oxford University, and we have an exciting session planned today. We have an interview with Thabiso, who is the executive or one of the non-executive directors of the Trevor Noah Foundation. He's also a senior lecturer at the University of Johannesburg. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, excited to be here. Thank you for the interview, and looking forward to sharing a conversation with you.
And the most controversial question that I've been asking everyone this last week is, how have you been finding the forum so far?
The forum has been extremely busy.
Busy, yeah.
Many meetings, seeing a lot of people, having conversations about philanthropy, having conversations about how to make the world a better place. That's what we're here for, right? So it's been very exciting. I've enjoyed my time here. Very nice to get some sun out in the UK.
I heard they brought it out just for the event.
I think the Africans came with it.
I'm gonna steal that line. So I'm from Malaysia and Southeast Asia. We have
Yeah,
sun all year round.
absolutely, yeah.
Last year when I was here for the forum, it was pouring rain and it was cold, and I'd lost my coat because I'm not used to carrying a coat around.
Yeah.
And one of the very kind school fellows in my fellowship group had to give me her coat,
Oh, wow.
which I
It's
carried around
amazing.
for the next 1 year. And I saw her today, and I'm like, I have to give you back your coat. You saved my life. Like,
You brought it along from last year?
I brought it around from last year
Wow.
because that's how much I appreciated the coat. So you see, the
That's
people here,
fantastic.
they do social impact, right before breakfast, even at work and all around. And I'm sure
Absolutely.
that you are definitely one of the amazing social impact leaders that make this conference as beautiful and as exciting as it is.
You know what? We just want to make a difference out there. I think for myself, my background is that I grew up in a very poor community. And as we spoke about before recording this, that I really wanted education is what took me out of where I was, and I am so convinced that education is what is going to be changing the lives of those who are living from derelict situations and communities. Um, Education is what will really make a difference in their lives. So I want to give back. I want to be a part of that, where I am giving back to the communities where I came from, communities in South Africa, to make sure that um, we are going to have a society of educated kids who will make a difference and create jobs.
I really love that story because a lot of people, sometimes when they are coming up in life, they don't like we all have the heart to give back, but I think sometimes, we are focused on our own career and we want to build our own career. And you've had a very interesting career, not just in academia today as a professor, but even before that, you were actually at Ernst Young. You had a corporate career as well. So why did you choose to go from corporate career to academia to, today in the nonprofit world and being able to make an impact? Was it like your background, of course, is so inspiring for us to hear, but why make the decision to help others instead of, some, like, a lot of people think to focus on themselves?
So I think going back to what I was saying earlier, when I was studying, so my history, my background is that I'm a chartered accountant. I think in the US that would be a CPA equivalent. So my background as a chartered accountant was that when I was at university, um, the way that they taught was a way that I think had I not been the type of student that I was, I would never have made it. Just because I had not had exposure to the field that I was in. Everything that was taught in this field, I didn't know, and it was the first time that I heard about the things that they were teaching. And so when I went through the program and I passed and I did my articles at Ernst Young to become a chartered accountant, I thought to myself, if only I had been taught in this particular way. And at that, it was at that point where my love for teaching and transferring knowledge to the next generation, that's where it started. And when the opportunity to become a lecturer at the University of Johannesburg came, I jumped at it. But I've always also been an entrepreneur. Mixing the two together, where I'm an entrepreneur, but also I'm a person who's concerned with teaching and giving back. I think that's where those two worlds collided. And I've just been given the opportunity to sit on boards of philanthropies that are involved in education.
That's the dream, truly.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when we have that opportunity to be both an entrepreneur or do other things in life, there can be a lot of work to be done. And not often we as human beings have the resources to do it. So where do you choose to focus your energy? I know the Trevor Noah Foundation does many different things. Tell us a little bit about some of those programmings and what you specifically do as well.
Yeah, so I'm a director on the Trevor Noah Foundation. So we really provide oversight over the organization and what the organization does. We look at the strategy of the organization. So where is the organization actually going? What are we going to be focusing on? And so we make decisions at that level. So we've got a team that actually does the implementation of that strategy, and we just oversee that. We make sure that they do it according to how we would like it to be done, and in particular how Trevor wants it to be done. Trevor is has got a passion for education. I think he's seen the difference that education makes in kids' lives, especially kids in South Africa who don't necessarily have that chance to make a difference. He wants to make a difference in their lives. So that's what we do. Some of the programs that the Trevor Noah Foundation does is that we have partnered with a company that brings AI, robotics, and coding into the school, where it wasn't there. We've got a partnership with Microsoft, and Microsoft brings the hardware, the computers, and we've got tech training for the teachers as well as the learners. Um, but AI and robotics is critical. I mean, we are in that age where it's important. And that program is brought into the school at a primary school level. So you see these 8-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 6-year-olds coding, bringing machines to life. And it's an exciting program. We also offer psychosocial support to our learners and teachers. The schools that we mainly help are found in really, really poor areas, and there's a lot of social problems. So not only do our learners have social problems, but our teachers go through social issues as well. So the psychosocial support makes sure that they've got an outlet, they've got someone to speak to make sure that their learning is effective, to make sure that the teachers are teaching effectively and not worrying about the problems that they have. We've got a reading program that supports our learners to read in their own mother tongues, storytelling, so that they can have a love for reading. Reading is not only for academic purposes, but if you can grow a love for reading, it will actually increase your literacy. Um, the other program that we have is a program where we have value-based leadership. So we facilitate camps, career expos, and we want our kids to become leaders who are not only focused on just the leadership aspect, but are socially responsible. And that's where the value-based leadership comes from. So those are some of the programs that are looking after the learners. We do have other programs that we can chat about if you want, but those ones are specifically focused on the education and the kids.
So I really love about these programs is that they're very holistic in nature. Like as you mentioned, like on one side, it's not just enough to help the learners. You also have to educate the teachers, the ecosystem. And I definitely see that a lot. Like in my social enterprise, we work with students, but the real impact comes when you work with students and teachers and parents and everyone there, so that the ecosystem is holistic. And the nature of your programs as well, from tech to reading, is is very balanced in a sense. So on one side, you have the latest technologies, you have kids learning to code,
Yeah, yeah,
and on the other side, you have things like reading, which really centers people. It builds focus, it builds mental capacity. So I'm very curious, from a strategy point of view, because we are at a conference where we're talking about, how how we can best implement strategies and how we can make sure that we're planning, these holistic type of efforts. From a strategy point of view, what are some of the thoughts and considerations that you and your team think about when deciding on, what is the vision and how to execute that vision effectively?
Yeah. So I think at the core of everything, whatever we do needs to be sustainable. The reality is that we cannot be at the school forever. That's a reality. So we want to make sure that we are leaving the school in a place where they can continue without us. So it has to be sustainable, which goes to our strategy of touching fewer schools, but touching them deeply, and being so entrenched in the school for a longer period of time where we can create sustainable programs that they can continue when we leave. There was a consideration about whether we have a lighter touch but more reach. So, touch 500 schools, but just at surface level. But we thought against that. We wanted to build long-lasting, sustainable programs that can continue. And even when we're gone, the principals at the schools are able to continue and have that thinking that we wanted to have about developing their teachers, developing the students, and they can continue with those programs long after we've left. I think for us, that was at the core of it. And that's why we wanted to have a holistic program, but that is long lasting.
That is absolutely the way to go about it, in my opinion. As someone who was a student and is a student still, I think the programs that really matter the most is when you can sense the intentionality and you can sense the kind of love and effort that the program providers have in kind of rolling it out. And I think that really comes with the depth that you mentioned. Like, a lot of programs exist out there, and a lot of them sometimes chase the metrics. But the fact that you guys are taking so much intentionality in making sure that it actually reaches them, I'm sure adds to the impact and the feeling and as I said, the love that the beneficiaries of it are probably receiving on their end.
Absolutely. So we actually built so much relationships with the school. And I'm a strong believer in building relationships. Whatever you do, build those relationships, right? So we've got such a relationship with the school, but not only the school, the community. Without the community taking ownership of that school, the school will fall apart. It will be subject to crime. It will be subject to dereliction, to fall apart. But when the community is involved, the community takes a part in making sure that that school remains the quality that it's supposed to have. So one of the programs that we do have is an infrastructure program where we have partnered with a construction company that maintains the infrastructure of the school, builds school halls, and we've committed 3 school halls at certain schools. The exciting part about that program is that there are youth that are unemployed in the community who are brought on to help build this hall, and they're given skills of trade. They're taught how to be plumbers. They're taught how to do the electricals of the school. They're taught how to do tiling, how to do bricklaying, how to paint. And it's a year-long program. And after the year, these youth are given a toolbox, and there's a service level agreement that is signed with the school that they will employ those youth to maintain the school going forward. So it creates employment. It's empowered them with the toolbox to be able to start their own businesses, and they've learned the skills. And having the community being involved in in building this hall gives them a sense of ownership, and they will look after it better.
That's absolutely beautiful, and I really like the idea that it's not just enough to educate people through the programming, but it's also important to make sure that people have opportunities to apply
Absolutely.
themselves, to be able to take what they've learned and put it into practice or learn something through doing. Because to your point, not everyone learns in the same way,
Yeah.
and some people they learn through actual work, and that's how they basically not only develop their skill set but also develop their ability to thrive in a career, to thrive in industry in a sense.
Yeah.
So the thing that I'm picking up is that you're very intentional about your partnerships. and you bring local grassroots individuals, organizations, and you bring big companies like, as you mentioned, the Microsofts of the world to the table. How does it go coordinating all of these partnerships? Because in my opinion,
Mm.
like, put aside every, like, the different priorities, it's also just very different mindsets. It's very different, things that are important to them, and it's also very different ways of executing work and different ways of carrying out, their impact. So
Yeah.
how do you, as the aggregator of everyone, ensure that people are able to communicate and people are able to effectively work together for this shared outcome?
Yeah, it is a difficult um, balancing act, I suppose, is the right word. But we've got a fantastic team that really works hard and loves what they do. That helps with coordinating all of this. I think what you say is correct about the intentionality. We're very, very intentional about number one, buying local.
Mm.
So the partners that we have are all local partners. If we do have a launch, we make sure that the caterers are local. We make sure that whoever's setting up the chairs that we rent or the tents that we put up is all local. So we're stimulating the local economy in that area. This is all intentional. It's never by mistake. And I think that if we are a community that serves each other, that buys from the community, that empowers the community, the entire community will start thriving
Yeah.
and supporting itself. So we're very, very intentional about that, and we make sure that whatever we do, we involve the local community. Having the support from locals also very, very important to us. But we also have the big entities who, from a financial muscle perspective, they really can help support our initiatives, um, and make a and also make a difference and a name for themselves. I mean, a lot of the recipients of what we do will always remember, for example, that Microsoft gave them their first computer and taught them how to how to use a computer. And so it's also a benefit for them. On top of them helping, they also benefit with being a household name. You know.
No, I love that positioning. And there's also a lot of people who, you have to, I wouldn't say convince, but you have to kind of, get them on as stakeholders. You have to get them involved in the process. And because this is my humble opinion, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but sometimes I feel real impactful ideas, they tend to be intersectional. They don't fit into a box. They involve many different categories and many different initiatives, and that can be hard to communicate to people, and sometimes it can be hard for people to understand why we need to do certain things and why this initiative is important. And that is the same I found, whether you're talking to executives in big companies or whether you're talking to sometimes teachers and sometimes local community members. So how are you communicating, the depth of your work and the importance of
Yes.
that depth, so that people can understand that, oh, okay, we need this. This is, like, why it has to be as complicated as it is, and this is how I need to support it.
Some of the conversations that we've been having at this
Yeah.
Skoll Forum has been with the BBC to help with their communication. I think they also would love to highlight certain issues that the world is facing. And so, entities like DevEx who really communicate, who are good communicators. But I think one thing that we have, and that for us, is the X factor, is Trevor himself.
That's a good
You
point.
know, Trevor is such a fantastic communicator. I mean, if you listen to how he speaks and how he lays out certain things, he's really good at effectively pointing out issues and what he feels the solutions are. So he's a really good communicator, and he can project the issues that we're facing as well as how we are able to facilitate bringing a solution to those issues. We also have a communications team at the Trevor Noah Foundation, as well as a MERL team, monitoring, evaluation, research, and learning team, that actually finds the stories of the impact that we've had and gives them to our communication team to actually amplify the impact that we've had. And hopefully this will galvanize and gather together the buy-in that we need from communities. I do think, though, it's easy for people to buy in to Trevor.
I will.
I think that's reality. But funny enough, in saying that, um, it's not as easy as you think to get support and funding. But yeah, but we try our best to get funding based on what we do. I think we don't only want to use Trevor Noah as a name, but we want to showcase the impact that we're making. And hopefully the impact that we make speaks volumes to potential funders.
you know, so I will share this one tidbit which I was not going to share, and I completely forgot about it until now. But I used to, before doing the show, a few years ago, I used to watch Trevor Noah's interviews and how he would interview people, just so that
On the Daily Show?
um, on the Daily Show. But I also watched a lot of his stand up before
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Daily Show, and
Okay.
because especially stand up, I used to be like, I need to learn this confidence, this ability to articulate the problem, this
Yes.
ability to ask questions. So I would watch it very intentionally because it was fun, but also with the goal of like I need to learn from this in a sense. So I think Trevor is a great resource, but also I think the work that you and your team does, at the foundation, that all of you do in fundraising and bringing the resources together, cannot be discounted because, as you said, he's amazing, and I'm sure that that is definitely a boon to the people that you're impacting. But it's also not hard to fundraise in any ecosystem, and it's not hard, and it's always tough to get people to buy in, to believe and help you kind of come on board to make the foundation. So I'm sure it's all of you wonderful people who are making the Trevor Noah Foundation possible. And on that note, I will say that if you guys are out on the BBC soon, our viewers heard it here first. On Changing Reality, we broke the news.
The BBC needs to do the right thing.
We're faster than the BBC. That's what I'm hearing
Fantastic.
from this show. So
Love it.
I appreciate the ability for us to just put that out there.
I love it.
And as we kind of wind down the conversation, we have a lot of student entrepreneurs or aspiring social entrepreneurs who are watching this and are probably thinking, you're doing so much impact. Where do we even start in this sense? We have dreams. We were all that student one time in class going, I cannot learn like this, or if only I'd learned about this differently. I'm sure there's a way that other people can benefit from the experiences that I had. Where can we start? Where can aspiring social impact innovators begin their journey of figuring out where their space in the impact world
Yeah.
is?
So I always believe that when other people thrive, so we will thrive. So and that's a thing of looking outwards instead of looking inwards from a perspective of helping others. If you can pick up the next person, you will thrive yourself. If a community can thrive, everyone in that community will thrive. So I think the first thing that people need to do is first find something that they genuinely love and genuinely believe in. If you don't have a conviction about something, it's going to be very, very difficult to see it through. So as much as, you're a student and you're trying to get your career up, but you thriving alone will only take you so far. And it's important that you take others along with you. And those who don't have those opportunities, if you can facilitate opportunities for them, they will make you better as well. So the first thing is find something you love. And there is always something that you can do within your field, right? So I'm an accountant. I do tax, but there's something in my field that I can do to help the next person. Um, Journalists, engineers, there's always something in your field that you can do. And it's just about being intentional about it. It's about finding something that you love and that you're passionate about, and looking outwards to help the next person. It's just about humanity. For me, it's about humanity. Um, and that's the important thing. And that's where entrepreneurship comes from. We become entrepreneurs not to be rich. I think that's a byproduct, but we become entrepreneurs to create employment, right? Only entrepreneurs can create employment. Big corporates are cutting jobs. Entrepreneurs are the ones that are creating employment. Um, and so, yeah, being an entrepreneur is a journey where you can create employment, help the other person, and the byproduct is that you yourself make a lot of money as long as you're passionate about what you do.
That was very articulate and said, and
Thank you.
I've personally always been an advocate for the idea that entrepreneurship is the way we're going to change the world. Social entrepreneurship as a whole, in a sense, and it's about giving other people employment. It's about at the same time also generating income for individuals, small and medium businesses, and enabling everyday people to thrive. Like like you said, big corporations are cutting jobs now, and I think with AI and as AI begins to advance and we see a lot of retrenchment happening, that's only going to become more and more real.
Yeah,
So it becomes more important than ever for entrepreneurs to not only thrive themselves, but as you said, to bring others to thrive with them, to
absolutely,
empower the communities they're in.
absolutely,
So with
absolutely.
that, thank you so much for being on our show. Any final words of wisdom for our
Thank you.
audience?
I just wanted to say thank you. Really appreciate this time, and I hope the audience has learned something, and I hope they continue to watch and support Trevor with his comedy. He's coming to a city next to you somewhere. He's on a world tour right now. I think he's got shows in London, in Qatar, in Europe somewhere. But just check on his website. But yeah, thank you for inviting me to the show, and I hope that we can engage some other time.
Likewise, thank you so much. And to all our audience, this has been Changing Reality. Once again, we'll see you guys next week with another episode.
Bye.